The temperature in Jacksonville is 30 degrees. In Dublin, it's 15. In Manchester, it is 17.
The tide is high in Jacksonville and the tide is high in Margate, which makes the swimming time that little bit longer today.
Hello, welcome. This is episode 1 of TealTalk. It's a new podcast for Jacksonville Jaguars fans here in the UK and Ireland, and beyond, of course. I'm Jay Lawrence, no relation. He is Key Ramsoren.
Also no relation.
So we're going to be here every week throughout the 2024 NFL season from September and monthly until then. Now, coming up, Key, we're going to speak to, well, actually, there's a couple Jaguars tight ends. One past, one future. Ben Koyack talks draft and tells us how a former Jag ends up living in the leafy suburbs of London. A new Jag as well, Patrick Mytle, joins us from Jacksonville to tell us all about his journey from Aussie Rules to the NFL via the international player pathway and his new Jags teammate. Plus, we'll talk to the Irish Jaguar, a Jags superfan, Stephen Howlin, about what it was like making the very first or ever draft pick from Ireland. Key, actually, you were there, weren't you, capturing the whole thing for the NFL Network, Clang, and of course our own TV show, Jaguars Weekly UK on Sky. And we have spoken about this briefly before, haven't we? You had a very good time.
Dude, it was awesome. It was super fun. It was hectic, and it was all quite last minute, knowing that we were the first ones to ever do it from Dublin. But yeah, really good time, man. Okay, we're going to speak more about that, of course, a little bit later on. And the fact as well that the Jags are going to go back to Ireland, aren't they, Key? Absolutely. This summer in June, we will be back in Dublin for live shows, meeting players. This is episode 1, Key, and I feel like we should do something quite special just to mark the start of the whole series. Oh. Never make that sound again. I apologise. We want to reward basically early subscribers to TealTalk by giving away what's on Key's desk. All you need to do is go to wherever you are listening to this podcast, you go to the review section and you write, I've subscribed. That's all you need to do, and we'll pick out one person at random to win. So I feel like we need a little drum roll or something here, Key. What is on your desk, Key? Full transparency, Jay, it's not actually on my desk, but we have a beautiful cap, Duval, hand-stitched on the front, STM logo. No one else in the UK is likely to own this cap. So whoever is the one that is picked that writes, I've subscribed with a nice little message, is probably going to be the only person in the UK that can get their hands on this cap. Season ticket members only. Yeah, that's mad, isn't it? So you can walk around wherever you are, whether it is Manchester or London, Glasgow, Ireland. You can walk around and you can be safe in the knowledge that you're not going to come across somebody wearing the same hat and have that awkward moment. Oh, it's beautiful. Like when I wear my Superman t-shirt and see another person wearing a Superman t-shirt, one of us is lying. What if one of you is lying? Yeah, exactly. So go to wherever you are listening to this podcast, go to the review section, write, I've subscribed, and somebody will be picked at random to win this hat. And as I say, you could be the only person in the whole of the country, I suppose, in the UK and Ireland with that hat. Key, I feel like we've not even spoken about the big news. We're several minutes into this episode and we've not even mentioned the big news yet. Yep, huge news. Jay, do you want to do it? I feel like I need some sort of klaxon. I feel like I need some sort of sound to really to kick us off with this big news. I reckon we'll do that in post, and I won't do my comedy klaxon sound. No, please don't. It's October 20th, 2024, Wembley Stadium, Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the New England Patriots. And we're back-to-back again, actually, as the Jags are going to be the road team against another team, actually, with a massive UK fan base, the Chicago Bears, at Tottenham on the 13th of October. It's a double dose of Duval, Key. And what a matchup it is at Wembley as well. Dude, I love it. I love the fact that it's slightly different this year, as in doing the road game first, then the home game second. I think both teams are good games for the Jags. I think they're both really good matchups. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I think we'll start with the home game. We'll start with the New England Patriots game because this is a really exciting matchup for multiple reasons. But I'll start with the non on-field reason. The New England Patriots are undoubtedly one of the biggest supported
teams in the UK. I don't need to discuss what happened over the last 20 plus years, but it's fair to say the New England Patriots have been quite successful in the NFL. So that means that, of course, there's been so many fans internationally that have supported the New England Patriots. So this, I kind of see like this, might be a really interesting atmosphere, because last year, I really felt like in that Jags-Falcons game at Wembley, it was all Jags, Jags, Jags. It was the whole stadium behind the Jags. But it almost feels like this could be like a UK football atmosphere in a way, where I feel like there could be a load of Jags fans, obviously, and a load of Patriots fans, really meaning this is going to be like I honestly believe like quite a unique atmosphere.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it's also a really interesting matchup in that, yes, the Patriots haven't been good the last few seasons, right? But the one thing that they have maintained is a good defense. And with the way the Jags are currently rebuilding the offense, I think that's going to be a really good test for the Jags relatively early on in the season to see how that goes. And when you bring in the crowd atmosphere to it, you've heard all the players talk about how much that atmosphere affects the way they play. So that's going to be a really interesting dynamic in it as well, I reckon.
And we could see Drake May as well, obviously one of the top picks in the NFL draft this year, the quarterback now for the New England Patriots. He's quite early on in the season, but I mean, even if you are, even if you're just like a general NFL fan, you want to see how these players do, and Drake May could be on the field then.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was talking, my best friend is a Patriots fan, and I was talking to him about that.
Awkward, that key, innit?
I know, it is
awkward, isn't it?
Right? I texted him the other day with the news, and he was like, yeah, I don't think we should go together. I was like,
yeah, we still want to be friends.
Exactly. But he was saying to me, like, before we knew that it was the Patriots playing, he was like, no, I don't think they should play Drake May for the first season. Let him learn the playbook, let him get familiar with the team, give him... And then as soon as he found out the news, he was like, oh, I hope Drake May plays.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just because he's like, I want to go and see it now, so I want to go see it.
Exactly.
Drake May
dude, that's so exciting, isn't it, to think that, like, in his rookie season, we might get to see him live. Like, that's, for Patriots fans especially, that must be so exciting, man.
I saw a really funny thing with Drake May actually yesterday. We'll get off Drake May in a second, but I did see a picture of him. It was with loads of other rookies, basically, and bizarrely Tom Brady and Jay-Z. I don't know why this picture was taken. And at the back is Drake May, and he does seem a little bit taller than everybody else. And then you realise, because you can see his foot. He's on his tiptoes. Now, you could be like, oh, he's trying to make himself seem taller than he actually is and criticise him for that. But I do the same thing. I do absolutely this. I ask people, when people take photos of me, are my feet in this photo? Because if they're not in this photo, I am going on my toes. Because I am not the tallest man in the world.
That's like The Rock, who bills himself at 6'5".
Yeah. I'm comparing myself to The Rock there, Key. I'm comparing myself to The Rock.
Hey, Jay, other exciting quarterback news is I wonder if Mac Jones will be brought out for a couple of snaps against his old team.
I would love that. I would love that if... hopefully, obviously, Trevor doesn't go down injured or anything, but if there is some sort of beautiful way that Mac Jones comes on for a game-winning touchdown or something like that.
Dude,
talk about storylines.
If the Jags are 42-10 up, bring Mac on for the fourth quarter. That's my shout.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I'm really excited about this game. I'm really excited about this matchup. Because let's face it as well, this is going to be an entertaining game, an interesting game. But also, if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, you're going to go into this game and you are confident. You are confident as well that the Jags can beat the Patriots.
Yeah, and also, like we've said before, the Jags do this every year. They're the only team to have done back-to-back in the UK. They're the only team to have travelled over every year since 2013. That also makes a huge difference. I know the Patriots travelled last year, but they are all changed this year, man. Like, new head coach, new QB. Like, they are a different team. So I think that also plays into the Jags' favour as well. It's a good matchup.
We'll speak a bit more about ticket details in a moment, but if you want to go sign up to Union Jacks right now, you can see all of that there. I feel like we need to discuss the other game, though, of course, Key, because the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're not just here for the one game. As you say, they are doubling up for the second year in a row. It means that it's going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars, an away game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against the Chicago Bears, another team that have a massive UK fan base because of Chicago Bears, obviously a storied history in the NFL. But in some ways, it's actually quite a similar sort of game to the New England Patriots because they're up again against a rookie quarterback, except this time we know this guy's going to play, Caleb Williams.
Yeah, 100%. I love this story. The Jags are undefeated at Spurs. The Bears played there. What was it? Was it 2019? I think the Bears would have played there.
You know better than I do. Yeah.
So I love this story going into it. I think that's really exciting. And I think there's potential for it actually to feel like a road game as well, like it did against the Bills. Like the Bills fan base was so dominant that day. I think there's potential for it to be like that again this year against the Bears.
It's going to be two exciting games, I reckon. The Chicago Bears matchup is one that throws in so many different questions as well, because you just have no idea really. As much as you can try and guess, the Chicago Bears are going to be a better team, they're going to be more exciting, blah blah blah. Just like when you bring in a rookie quarterback, no matter what the team is, you don't know how it's going to be. But this instance is actually funny because Caleb Williams is the most hyped quarterback or rookie quarterback in the NFL since who, Key? So my cousin Trevor Lawrence, of course. So it's going to be it's almost a matchup between the new guy and the guy, the old phenom. Do you know what I mean? Not the old phenom, but you know what I'm saying. The former phenom.
I think Trevor thrives there. I think he does, and I think this season is the season that Trevor takes a big step.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we're going to be speaking more about Trevor Lawrence over the next, multiple episodes until the start of the season. Obviously, there's going to be some big news, around Trevor Lawrence potentially. But in this instance as well, let's just round off the talk about the London games by saying Trevor Lawrence, it's almost like he should have a flat in London because it seems like he loves being here in terms of performances, in terms of victories as well. His first ever victory in the NFL was in London, of course. 2 victories last year as well. He does pretty well, doesn't he?
I mean, he's 3-1 in London. Let me count the games up. Yeah, he's 3-1 in London. That's a pretty decent record. I think he likes coming here.
I feel like he does. He should get a flat in Wembley. Have a nice time. Just come here in the off season. We'll speak a bit more about tickets in a second. We did say a moment ago, didn't we, Keith, that we were going to be speaking to 2 different tight ends, Jacksonville Jaguars tight ends, in this episode.
Yep.
One former tight end, one brand new tight end, Patrick Murtagh, who played Aussie Rules. He went through the International Player Pathway program. He joined the Jacksonville Jaguars this offseason. I caught up with him. Let's see how that went. Hey, what a lovely man Patrick Mytle was. I do hope we actually are able to catch up with him around London time, Key, as well.
I'm hoping I might, because I'll be going over for training camp, so I'm hoping...
Clang.
Fingers crossed, I know, right? I'm hoping we might get some time...
You didn't have to mention that. Oh, no big deal.
What am I going to do?
I'm just going to go.
I'm trying to get people excited, Jay.
Yeah, I know, but I think that the lack of invitation is really what I was getting at, really. But it's fine, whatever. So you're saying that hopefully you'll be able to catch up with him when you're over there.
I'm hoping so, but I won't bring that up.
No, you won't bring that up. Never mind. Okay, this is TealTalk. Shall we do Duval Dispatches, Key?
Let's do it, mate. I love it.
So many exciting things actually to tell you this episode. Loads going on around the summer months as well. Now, obviously, we've spoken a little bit about the game at Wembley Stadium. It's now on sale to selected groups of season ticket members. You can still sign up online to the Union Jacks database to take advantage of the pre-sale window, which starts Tuesday, May 28th, runs through to Friday the 31st. Just search Union Jacks. It'll be right there. In fact, what we'll probably do as well is should we do this? This makes more sense. We'll put the link in the description of the podcast as well. If you're not already signed up, basically, it makes sense. You should go do that immediately. Not only do you gain access to all of the Jags UK information, dates, special offers, and all of that business, but you also get the bonus of our exclusive pre-sale windows when you'll be able to take advantage of the price freeze on thousands of tickets before the general sale window takes place soon. And breaking news, feel like we need a breaking news, sound effect as well. Breaking news is that on day one, since we took over the management of the game, we exceeded sales from the last 3 years at Wembley, proving that, not only are we growing our fan base over here, but the Wembley fixture is more popular than ever. And Key, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but there's also loads going on this summer. Well, the summer tour, I suppose.
Yeah, so the last 2 years, the Jags have brought players over here. So we've had the likes of Evan Engram, Josh Allen for the last 2 years. And this year we're doing it again. We're going to go to 3 different cities across the UK and Ireland. So we'll be visiting Bristol and Manchester and Dublin. And we have got some names, man. We've got Roy Robertson Harris. We've got Foye Aluakon. We've got Pro Bowler Ross Matasic, no less. And of course, as the same as every year, we've got Tony Baselli to keep everyone in check. It's all sponsored by Experience Kissimmee. Now, for example, loads of exciting stuff, right? So there'll be Neil Reynolds from Sky Sports NFL is going to be hosting some live events where fans can do Q&A and meet the players. Foyer is going to do a BAFA clinic in Bristol.
And the tour will see the players take part in community activity run by our fantastic foundation, actually, which we're going to tell you more about in each episode.
And it's just fantastic. Like, the amount of Jags fans that we see from all across the country coming out to these events, it's just fantastic. So tickets are going to go on sale soon. Check on all your socials to find out when that is happening. But it's towards the end of June. I think the dates are Bristol is the 21st of June, then Manchester on the 23rd, and then Dublin on the 24th.
Plus, in Manchester, we'll be near the home of one of our key sponsors, AO. They've got loads of exciting things planned for our trip to make the experience for the kids first class. I mean, that's going to be amazing, isn't it? I mean, imagine being at that clinic in Bristol. I think, moments like that when you're really... when you're playing American football in this country, those are the moments that you live for.
It's so much fun, and meeting all the fans. We'll have Reece Parkinson there, who hosts the TV show, and he'll be doing filming with us and meeting all the fans and stuff. But when you see how many hardcore Jags fans there are all across the country, that is the highlight of it all for me, is meeting all those fans, man. I love it.
Okay, so keep your eyes across social media to get the dates, the times for each event, but that's very exciting. At the tail end of June, as we say, the Jags tour around the UK and Ireland. Earlier in the show, we spoke to Patrick Murtagh, and we also mentioned that Key went to Ireland to capture the Jags community events over there, as well as film the very first ever draft pick made by an NFL team in Ireland. What's really interesting actually about this, Key, is that we make it seem like this was planned. Basically, we make it sound like, oh yeah, the Jags were always going to be the very first ever draft pick from an NFL team in Ireland. That wasn't necessarily the case. It was luck to an extent, wasn't it, Key?
It was. I can't remember who the other teams were. There were 2 other teams. One of them, I think, was the Jets.
Yeah, Jets. Was it Jets and I'm going to say the Bears, but I might be wrong on that one.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And from what we knew on the day...
Steelers. It was the Steelers, wasn't it?
Steelers, there we go. Okay, yeah. So from what we knew on the day, it was like we were maybe going to be the third one. And then about 10 seconds before we went live, we got the nod saying that we were going to be the first one. So, we're quickly changing the script, quickly letting everyone know, yeah, guys, we're the first one. And it was just such nice timing with the Jags' recent entry into the marketing of Ireland it was just lovely timing, man. It was really nice.
And no one could take that away from you. Do you know what I mean? And I was thinking about this actually yesterday. No one cares if you're the second or third of anything, but everybody, if you're the first, people will remember that.
Yeah, and it was really nice for Stephen as well to have not just the opportunity to do the draft pick, but to actually make NFL history. Man, what a great moment for him.
Okay, we're going to catch up with him actually in a moment, but first, you managed to spend some quality time with former Jags tight end Ben Koyack, didn't you?
I did. We had a lovely time in the pub. That's not what you're talking about.
What's his drink then? What's his tipple?
So I had my first ever pint of Guinness with Ben Koyack in a pub in Dublin.
Sorry. Sorry, this was your first ever pint of Guinness?
My first ever pint of Guinness. Never had one before. Wow. And I said to myself before we went over to the pub, I was like, yeah, I'll have one pint and then I'll head back to the hotel. That's all. All
I'm saying is that I just feel like you have turned off so many people listening right now by admitting that, by saying that's your first. I tell you what though, if you're gonna have a Guinness anywhere, your first Guinness anywhere.
So that was it. So I was like, oh, we're making NFL history with the first ever draft pick. I'll make personal history with my first ever pint of Guinness. History. It all ties in, Jay. I've thought it all through.
All right, Ben Koyack. So he played for the Jags. Tell me a little bit about Ben before we crack on to hearing your interview with him.
So the most amazing thing to me is Ben's draft story, which we'll hear in a bit. But also the way he talks about his career, and he's so frank about it. And one of the things he talks about is trying to help other players have a better career than he ever did. It was such a fascinating chat. I really enjoyed sitting down with him, and he's like, his feet are firmly planted on the ground. You wouldn't know that he'd played in the NFL if you ever met him. But also, like, he's lived in Jacksonville, which is incredibly beautiful. But hearing his journey to now living in Cobham, again, very interesting, Jay.
Okay, let's hear it.
Ben, welcome to TealTalk. This is the first episode of our Jaguars UK podcast, and you are our prime star, ready to go. We're in Dublin for the Jags draft pick, but this is not your first time over in Ireland, is it? Can you tell us about when you visited here before?
Yes, so 2012, I was here with the University of Notre Dame. We were actually the first team to play in Dublin. And we played in Aviva Stadium, not too far away. It was an incredible experience. Not my best game ever, unfortunately, but it still had a catch. We won the game, and we actually had a really good year that year. So, and we were fortunate enough to take some tours through Dublin, get to see some of the city. So it was still a really good time.
Fantastic. And you have quite a connection to the UK. So I'm fortunate. I've been to visit Jacksonville. Incredible weather, beaches, golf, and obviously you played tight end there, so you know Jacksonville really well. And yet you've chosen to live in Cobham. Talk me through that decision.
I mean, my wife's English, so I mean, for us, it was kind of a no-brainer. Once my career came to an end, still kept working out for teams for a few years, and then we had mutually agreed. We have a beautiful daughter together, and we had just kind of decided that once that time came where my career was up, she has a great career working in the sports industry as well, and
she works in golf, right?
She works in golf, yeah. And a lot of people probably see her on different things like on Netflix and whatnot. We had a great opportunity to come back overseas, and it was always in the plan to come back over. And that was, so when my career was over, that was what we did. And we looked at a couple of places. We looked at Weybridge, we looked at the surrounding areas, and we ended up settling on Cobham.
Beautiful. So this weekend, draft weekend, huge, a lot of young lives are going to change. Talk to us about what your experience of your draft was like back in 2015.
That is a loaded question. So okay. there's a lot of emotions going on with that one. So there's obviously the great emotions where you have the opportunity not to continue to play, to just be able to be a part of the NFL.
Right.
But then there's also the different aspects, the different things at play, the different variables at play that you never really think are going to happen. So.
What was that for you, if you don't mind sharing it with us? What happened?
I mean, so for me, at the time, I had never really shared with anyone that I had epilepsy. So at the time of the draft, none of the teams had known. And someone else's agent right before the draft had leaked and said that I had a seizure. And then the Jags, I was working on a project for school. I had 2 classes left to graduate. And as someone's agent had said, hey, Ben had a seizure, and Jags called me, and I answered it, and they said, hey, like, is that true? And I was like, no, it's not true. I'm all good. And they're like, well, you should probably have your agent call everybody because you're not on anyone's draft boards anymore. And so, draft rolls around. I was projected to go 3rd round. third round rolls around, nothing. Fourth round, nothing. Fifth round, sixth round. So I'm just sitting in my room at college, not really that happy. Seventh round rolls around, I'm thinking I'm probably not going to get drafted. Jags eventually call, and the first thing they ask is, "Hey, so is that true? Did you have a seizure or not?" I said, "No, I didn't have it." And they're like, "Okay, cool, we'll draft you." So, like I said, it was a bit stressful, but I was just happy to someone at least took a chance.
I mean, to me, when I hear that, that is testament to your character to be a professional sports person and dealing with epilepsy and all of the emotions and challenges around that. I think that's incredible, dude.
I mean, it's something that's difficult, especially when I think that nowadays, I think it's still very stigmatized, and it's not something that I think a lot of people come forward with. I would say that there's probably a lot of people who have it that still have not said anything about it. I know Justin Fields recently was drafted, and I think 4 or 5 years ago, and he had it, and they tried to say, yeah, it's a childhood form, and he's good. And in my mind, I'm like, no, that's not the case.
Right.
It doesn't work that way when you're in your 20s. But I'm just happy, they still gave him a chance and he's still playing, because it doesn't take away your ability to continue to play, to continue to live your life. Yeah. So I'm just happy that, guys are continuing to play and that more awareness is being shown with that.
That's awesome, man. A lot of these young players that have been drafted this weekend for the Jags, a lot of them won't have left the country. They won't have left the States, let alone coming to play their sport in a different country. What will it be like for them coming over to play in the UK, playing at Wembley? What is that experience like?
I mean, I know my first time at Wembley, I mean, I was pretty starstruck. I mean, I somewhat knew what to expect, but I don't know if you can ever truly be prepared for just exactly how it's going to be. And I think it's changed over the years, having gone to some of the games and played in some of the games since. So I feel like my first game or two there, I think fans were very much just happy to be there and be at the games versus
all jerseys. It's such an event, right?
Yeah, it was just jerseys everywhere, and there was no like we're Jags fans, or it was just in a big play we're just cheering, and it's like we're the home team, like let's quiet it down a little bit, and versus now it's very much become like we're Jags fans out here supporting you. And like I said, over the years, it's become much more of a big event, and it's actually become much more of a home game, and it's something that I had come to look forward to the more every year. So I think some guys were nervous about it and unsure that hadn't played in those games, but I know for me, having played in a couple, it was something I very much look forward to. So guys who haven't done it before, I think they just need to trust, especially with a team like the Jaguars who've done it so frequently, that they're going to take care of you and put you in the best possible space to make sure you're going to succeed.
I think that makes such a difference, doesn't it? Having done it for so many years, having learned the routine, having learned what works and all of that. For those young players that are coming over for the first time, that have never been to the UK before, what would you say? Try this out. If you haven't done this, if you've never been to London, try this out.
Well, I know one thing. So I always laugh when I hear some of the guys talk about food. So they say, oh, like the food here there's no food here. I'm like, well, first things first, you have to step outside the hotel. Yep. And one thing that I can say in the US is that, I apologize to anybody here. I'm not singling anybody out, but I'm like, we did not have great Indian food. So one thing I would recommend is they get some good Indian food. So I don't know how to make it happen, but find a good...
I'll make it happen, Ben. I'll make it happen.
There we go. Find a good Indian food. I don't know if you like it, basic, get your basic tikka masala. I don't know if you want to eat some vindaloo. I don't know if you want a real spicy.
Not for the first time. Don't go straight in for a vindaloo.
You never knew. Some people like it really spicy. But either way, so maybe try actually really venture out into some different foods, because that would be one of my main recommendations. Obviously, see some of the sites. A lot of guys don't get to, and you got to do it once. So I mean, I don't frequent around the city, too much. I don't really spend too much time around Piccadilly or whatnot. But I think you got to do it once. So just to cross it off the list, it's one of those things that I'm sure everyone's seen in a movie or or on a TV show. Once.
Make a call from a red phone booth.
Yeah, or at least take a picture. Yeah. You got to do it once.
Wicked. We met first time 2 weeks ago in Ealing at Jag Tag event. And you're repping with the jersey today as well. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the Union Jacks Foundation?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to create as much awareness for the game as possible. And I mean, we're here right now in Dublin trying to do the same. So we're trying to grow the game. We're trying to start the game at a younger level. We're trying to make sure as many kids can understand and know the game, and that way, as they grow older, they can continue to know the game better, and hopefully they can continue to grow the game with the Jaguars as well. So, I mean, it's a little 2 for 1 if they can love the Jaguars as well as understanding the game as well. I mean, that'd be helpful, but selfishly, we might like that little aspect.
Dude, I love it.
But, I think growing the game and teaching them how to do it safely and have fun doing it as well, show them that competition aspect can be fun.
Fantastic. You're also doing stuff with IPP, and Patrick Murtagh has recently joined the Jags, which is fantastic, and you've worked with him. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect for him, what his experience is going to be like, and, what's he like as a person as well?
Oh, I mean, Pat's a funny guy. So, I mean, what to say about Pat? So the joke is with Pat. So the entire time we were in the IPP, the Australian version of Love Island was trying to get him to come and be a bad boy spoiler.
Serious?
Yes, they were trying to fly him in and be a bad boy spoiler. So that about tells you how the internet views Pat.
I'm going to enjoy meeting Pat later this season.
You would never guess it because Pat is very down to earth and he's a nice guy. But he's still a very funny guy once he opens up a bit. He's very funny, but also athletically, he's a physical
I've
freak
seen
of
some of the
nature.
footage of him, and man, he's a beast.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has gigantic hands. So I mean, we from day one, we were working one-handed catches, and it was like nothing for him. He has crazy vertical. He's built for the position, and it's never something that you're ever going to have to worry about him with physicality. I mean, he came from an Aussie football background, and the guy used to get frustrated with other people. So he'd be like, "Oops, here's the ball for you, so I can go hit you." So
amazing.
So it's something where I told people, I was like, he's going to be a guy who can not just play tight end, but he can play special teams as well. So he's really going to be an asset.
Fantastic. Oh man, that's exciting times. Ben, thank you so much, bro. I'm going to take a fist bump.
Hey, seems like a good bloke, doesn't he, that Ben Koyack, King?
He's so nice, man. He relaxed me, which is the opposite way around to what it should be, Jay.
So obviously you spent a lot of time with Ben Koyack when you're out there, but you actually spent a lot of time with somebody else, didn't you? The man known as the Irish Jaguar, Key.
Yeah, really, really nice guy. Stephen Howlin won the competition to do the draft pick, the first ever one, as we've said, from Dublin.
We spoke to him about his experience, his life as a Jags superfan as well. Plus, every episode, we're going to be speaking to one of you, asking you to bring the big question that the three of us can discuss. So what's the big question this episode?
Personally, what is your favourite moment watching the Jaguars?
That is a good question. That is a really good question. And I feel like, Stevie, you're going to have a really good answer for this. So I'll get to you in a second. But Key, let's go first. Key, what is your answer?
Okay. 2021, Spurs Stadium, Jags, Dolphins, final field goal, stadium going absolutely crazy. Trevor's first win in a Jags uniform. First win of that season. It was just an unbelievable moment. What a story. Yeah, I absolutely love that. There are countless others that I could pick, but that one is, that's my number one for me. Yeah.
I thought that was a really good one as well, purely because, no matter what happens, Trevor Lawrence is going to have that memory like burned, etched into his mind, the first win in the NFL. So that might be one of, his best moments as a Jag. His answer as well.
Absolutely. I was fortunate enough to be in the press conference after the game, and the smile on his face and the relief as he walked into it was just incredible. It was such a great moment. From being a Jags fan for so long, having that was just, excellent.
I feel like mine is going to be, I think we're going with recent ones here as well, because I think mine is literally last season at Wembley Stadium, when there might be, the first time that I felt like this crowd might as well be in Jacksonville. I don't know if you felt the same, Stevie, at the game at Wembley Stadium, where it was literally, it felt like it was just a sea of Jags fans all around the stadium. Whereas, you go to so many games in London, and of course, there's so many different fans from different teams, but this really felt like a home crowd for me, and it sort of gives you goosebumps. You know what I mean?
I came across on TV like a Jaguars game, like the crowd was loud when it was supposed to be and quiet when it was supposed to be. That Falcons game it felt like a game that the Jaguars were the home team, which was great progress from, say, 2013 when it started, when I was like, I'd say one of 4 Jaguars fans in the crowd.
Amazing.
Well, okay, I guess that I got to ask, what is your answer to that question? Is it going to be the obvious one? Is it going to be the one that from the last couple of weeks?
I'd say it's probably the only one I say it's probably I'm the only one who really remembers it. But it was my first time in Jacksonville, in Everbank Field. We were playing the Titans on Thursday night, and it was the color rush. So it was the mustard gold versus the sky blue, and it was a terrible game. This is back before Trevor, before Derrick Henry, even on the other side. It was 2 bad teams playing each other, and it had been a field goal game. Then the Titans scored a touchdown. Then we punt. Then there was like, I think it was something like 3 or 4 or 3 and outs in a row. The Titans punted, and Rashad Green returned the punt, and he returned it to the 15-yard line, and the stadium exploded, and I nearly got yeeted 3 rows in front of me.
Yeah.
With everybody just cheering and stuff. And so that's my favorite moment watching the Jaguars. Just experience a whole stadium explode like that. And then Blake threw a touchdown to Julius Thomas the very next play, and we didn't look back from there.
That was your first visit to Jacksonville
that was
as well?
my first visit to Jacksonville, in 2015.
I mean, that always helps as well, doesn't it? You have these amazing moments, but when it's your first moment, that's the big, even if it was as you say, if it wasn't the best game in the world or anything, it still means a lot to you,
Yeah, and I was in the Bold City Brigade section as well. So like the diehards who'd been there since day one, and it was amazing.
I'll tell you what, let's get on to what's happened over the last couple of weeks for you, Stevie, because it's been pretty good, hasn't it? First question: what was better, making the draft pick or meeting Key?
Oh, it must have been Key. Like,
Correct answer. Correct answer. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, tell us exactly, like, how tell me about your emotions actually about when you found out you're going to be making that pick.
Yeah, I was shocked. Like I got the email, and it was like, "You've won. We'll be making the announcement later on. Please don't tell anybody." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll tell my wife because she's not going to say anything." And then I was just sitting there going, "Is someone pranking me now?" Like, like I was only when the actual tweet went out from the Jaguars UK and Ireland account, and I went, "Okay, this is probably real now."
Amazing.
And then I started getting excited, and then I started getting nervous, and then there was sort of waves of excitement and nervousness after that. But weirdly, once we got to Saturday, all the nerves had gone. I'd kind of burnt out on nerves, and I was just excited. And once the name came true and I was able to pronounce it, that was basically everything.
Because that's actually something that I've wondered before. Is that and you see, actually, it happened in the first round this year as well. I can't remember who it was, but what happens if you can't pronounce the name? I mean, was that genuinely like you were feeling nervous about that?
Yeah, a little bit. But then I was able to see the card that was been written out, and the surname was Foster, and I was like, okay, I've got that. I know Foster.
You can do Foster.
Yeah, and the first name I was going to say Javon.
Yeah.
And then I was someone mouthed to me, it's Javon, and I was like, okay, great, keep that in mind. And from that point on, then it was fine with it.
You were an absolute pro, Stevie. It was so exhilarating, that whole thing, and then getting the knowledge that like 10 seconds before we went live that it was the first one from Ireland. It just kind of all lifted us, right?
Yeah, that was amazing because the Jets were ahead of us and they were announcing from Ireland as well. And then they traded back and we were like, okay, are we the first now? We need confirmation. And only for NFL Network went to break just before our announcement. We wouldn't have got that confirmation in time. Yeah. So it was amazing to be able to go, great, first ever. And I was thinking about this on the train home. I now have me, who's the least athletic person on the planet, has a first time ever in NFL history to my name, which is pretty amazing.
Love that.
That is mad though when you think about it, isn't it? I mean, that's crazy because literally you can. Well, first of all, you know when you go for like a new job or something, and everyone says like, tell us something interesting about you. Well, you've got a good one. You've got a good one right now. But you are a part of history, which is mad, really, when you think about it.
It really is. It's crazy. And it was loads of fun to kind of get a view behind the scenes as well, because I've watched the draft for 12 years or so like that, and like I find it amazing, but I've never seen how it works, like the contact with the war room, the contact with the league, all of the TV stuff. I've never even really been behind scenes at a TV show, never mind the live sporting thing. So it was really cool to see all that as well.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing, man. And I bet 12 years ago you weren't thinking, I'm going to be making a pick one day.
No, 12 years ago, 2012, I was thinking Justice Blackman's going to be a really good player for us.
Yeah. Well, look, you're known as the Irish Jaguar, aren't you? So tell us about like how your fandom started.
Yeah, so my dad is a big sports fan. He's kind of into everything: golf, cricket, GAA, soccer. And he's a 49ers fan. And we used to watch the highlight show on Channel 4 when I was a kid. And then in '95, when the two new teams entered, I decided one of these teams is going to be my team, because I'd liked the Packers and I'd liked the Dolphins, but I wasn't really following them very well. And then I saw the Jaguars uniform with the leaping Jaguar on the sleeve, and I loved that idea. Like, even then, I was kind of like, I love alternate logo type things. So the fact that they had the logo in the leaping Jaguar as well, I was like, great, that'll be my team. And then it just kind of went from there. Obviously, no internet, no real social media or anything at that point. So it was basically highlight shows and Madden was how it was followed. Like, I never really, like, I know the names of the early players based on Madden, like Donovan Darius and Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardle, but I never really knew them to watch them play. And then about 2010, 2011, I discovered Jaguars Twitter and kind of got involved with the fans in Jacksonville, like Bold City Brigade specifically, but just in general. And it's going from there. Like, I can count some of my best friends now as people in Jacksonville.
People that you've met at games over there have now become your friends.
Yeah, I like when I travel to Jacksonville, I stay in friends' houses. I don't.
Amazing.
I don't need accommodation when I'm over there, because I just stay with my friends. Brent and Bethany specifically are fantastic people, and put me up every time I'm in town.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I mean, look, it's been a decent couple of weeks. How are you gonna top that with your Jacksonville? Is there a way to even top that as a Jags fan?
Winning a Super Bowl.
Winning a Super Bowl. Winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a good enough answer, isn't it?
Yeah, I've said before, I don't think I'd be able to make the Super Bowl, but I'll definitely try and be in Jacksonville for that game. With the people who couldn't, other people who couldn't, because obviously Super Bowl is a big investment. But I can get myself to Jacksonville for that week. That would be ideal.
Stevie, how many times have you been over?
4, 5, 2015, 2016, 2018, and 2019. 4.
Hey man, here's a question I've got for you, right? Having been following the team since '95, basically, where do you put this current roster in terms of the history of the whole franchise? Where do you sit this current roster?
This is the big question, Keith.
Yeah.
You busted out the big question here.
So 99 is obviously the roster.
Right.
They were best in the league and got unlucky. 2017 would be the second, because again, best defense and a functional offense. Oh, to go on, I'd say, well, nothing's guaranteed or anything, but I'd say they're 30 years. I'd say they're top 10. So
yeah, I agree. I'm the most excited for this season, especially after this draft, that I have been for a while.
Yeah, the draft looks good. The draft is high potential players. Like one of the lads on Twitter went through the 9 picks, and he said of the 9 picks, one project and they should contribute this year.
Yeah, fantastic.
I'm excited for this year, but I'm also tempering it because I was really excited for last year, and it looked to be going so well as well until the injury bug hit.
Yeah, that was tough. Hey, here's another one for you, Stevie. We've got your favourite moment as a Jags fan ever. Can you give us one from the UK or Ireland? Your favourite moment in the UK or Ireland?
The Bills game, the first Bills game, where we had a big lead and we let them back in, and then Blake hit Hearns on that touchdown pick.
Unbelievable.
I was sitting beside an Icelandic Bills fan who was very quiet while the Jags were dominating the early part of the game, and got louder and louder and louder as the Bills came back, to the point that he was basically in my face for the whole thing. Amazing. And then when the Jags took back the lead, I stood up, cheered, turned around, and went, I nearly got bet up by an Icelandic Bills fan, because I'm not that person, but he just wound me up the whole game as to come back, because I wasn't saying anything to him when the Jags were winning, but he started getting mouthy when the Bills were coming back into it. So for whatever reason, I just felt like I had to give something back to him, and then at the way out, we were laughing and joking about it.
Vindicated.
Good nature, though.
Yeah.
Stevie, thank you so much for joining us today. I've just got one more question, right? Considering that you made the draft pick, is Javon Foster going to be a future Hall of Famer?
Absolutely.
There we go. You heard it here first.
Done.
Stevie, thank you so much for joining us on TealTalk.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, what an experience for Stephen Howland, man, the Irish Jaguar, to be able to say that he was the first ever, he announced the first ever draft pick from Ireland, Key. It's incredible, isn't it?
So cool, man. What an experience for him, and lovely to hear it in his words as well, you know?
Yeah, super nice guy. And I think that's probably about it for the first ever episode of TealTalk, Key. So thank you very much.
Thank you, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself.
I want to point out as well, and this is going to be and I think I should just slowly build it. But your background, if you're watching this right now, your background is supercharged. My background looks like I'm being held against my will and I'm in a prison cell of some sort. So I need to improve on that slowly and steadily. I'm going to make it look like I'm in a full-on tech studio like you, Jaguars tech studio like you, Key.
I've just got too much time on my hands, Jay.
You've got too much time on your hands. Do you have enough time to come round to mine to sort mine out?
Deal.
That'd be a deal. That would be lovely. So we're going to be back. I guess it's after. We're going to be back after the Jags tour, aren't we, Key?
Yeah, so I'm hoping that on the tour, I'll be able to sit down with one of the players and get some time with them that we can then send out to all the viewers, to all our listeners.
Yeah, and you know, we spoke to Stevie as well, didn't we? So we will be speaking to another Jags fan. I suppose so. Keep a lookout. Keep your DMs open, I suppose, because it could be you as well. Key.
Hello.
Loved spending time with you. Should we do this again next time?
I'd love to, Jay. Thanks so much. What a great first date.
And as they say at the end of every single podcast, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode wherever you get your podcasts.